The woman sat there deep in thought. She'd heard that there was a healer going from town to town, opening the eyes of the blind, causing lame people to walk, and making lepers whole. She'd been let down so many times before that she didn't want to get her hopes up again. But the people who told her the stories of this Jesus of Nazareth were so convincing, so certain. She was surprised at herself that she was even considering this. Then again, it had been 12 years. For 12 long years, the bleeding hadn't stopped. She was weak all the time. Her emotions were out of control. She couldn't take it anymore. And she was sure that before long she'd either go out of her mind or she'd die. And at this point, death didn't sound so bad. She'd tried every doctor, every medicine, every treatment. Each time she'd let herself believe that she'd be better soon. And each time, she just got worse. And now, even if there were a remedy she hadn't tried yet, she didn't have the money to pay for it. She'd spent every penny she had, sold everything she could sell, borrowed from everyone she knew. There was nothing left to try. Even though her first reaction was to dismiss the idea of seeking his help, she hadn't been able to forget about him. Now here she was, sitting and watching, not far from the place where she'd heard that he might be passing by, not knowing if he actually would, and not sure what she'd do if he did. Still, she waited. I don't want to bother him, she thought. I don't want to make a scene. If somehow I could just... And that's when it came to her. If this man really did have the power of God in him, he wouldn't even have to know that she was there. If she could just work her way through the crowd, if she could get close enough to him to just touch his garment, she wouldn't have to bother him. She wouldn't have to make a scene. She could just get healed and slip away. But wait, wouldn't that be sort of like stealing, to do this without him knowing? No, it wouldn't. If he had God's healing power in him, it was for everybody who needed it, right? She went back and forth in her mind, not sure exactly what she would do. Suddenly, she began to hear the sounds of a large crowd approaching. She knew she'd never heard a commotion like that before. She didn't leave the spot where she was sitting. She just kept watching in the direction where the sounds were coming from. The crowd came around the corner, so many people. It was obvious who the healer was because everybody in the crowd was looking to him, trying to get closer to him. One thing was for sure, there was no way she was going to step in front of that crowd. There's no telling what would happen. There was a man out in front who seemed to be leading them all somewhere. How could she get close to the healer without being noticed? The crowd was just about up to where she was now. She just sat and watched them walk by. She was far enough off the road that nobody even seemed to notice her. She watched as the man out in front of the crowd passed by. And then Jesus of Nazareth with all kinds of people pressing around him, followed by many others trying to just catch a glimpse of him. Even though she'd been uncertain what she would do, when the moment arrived, it seemed like she stood to her feet involuntarily. She merged into the moving crowd, began to work her way in among the people, pressing steadily forward toward the front. She'd never been so aggressive about anything. She couldn't even believe she had the strength to do this. Before long, she realized she wasn't far from the healer. Was this really going to work? Or was it going to be one final crushing disappointment? Even with her questions, she was compelled by the thought, I've got to get to him. When she was just 2 people away, she lunged forward with an urgency that no one else in the crowd seemed to have. She reached out her hand as far as she could and, she touched the hem of his clothes. And instantly, everything changed. She had never felt so whole and strong. It worked. Her 12-year nightmare was over. It seemed like the whole world was standing still to rejoice with her. Then she noticed the crowd around her was standing still. And a voice was saying, "Who touched me?" How did he know? Everybody around him was constantly bumping into him. How did he know what she had done? But before she had time to think another thought, she found herself on the ground, bowing before him, pouring out her heart. And instead of the reprimand that she expected, she heard that same voice say, "Daughter, your faith has made you whole. Go in peace and be whole of your plague." Her life was changed. What was so different about this woman's reach? that it impacted Jesus in a way that hundreds of random touches did not? The answer is very simple. This woman's reach was the reach of faith. She wasn't any better than anyone else. She was just more desperate. While others surrounded Jesus out of curiosity or intrigue, this woman pursued Jesus in urgency. She was persuaded that if he was from God, if he indeed had God's healing power, then a simple touch of his garment would be all she needed. And when her desperate reach of faith connected with Jesus' powerful grace, he knew it and she knew it, and she was forever changed. Christian, Jesus has unlimited solutions for you when you reach out to him in earnest faith. Stay the course.